This episode is dedicated to the man who made the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, Scott Cawthon himself, who today, of recording, has confirmed that he is retiring from the series. Hello, and welcome to Into the Night, a Five Nights at Freddy's podcast. I'm your host, Nick, and thank you for listening. On our previous episode, we went over the first two games in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, and went over the main plot points presented in those games. The most prominent thread being that at some point of the Freddy Fazbear's brand's short-lived life, 5 children were lured into the back rooms of an establishment by a man wearing a yellow Fazbear mascot costume. It was there the children were murdered, but their bodies were never found, as they were hidden away by the killer's original victim, whom he slaughtered years ago. A child who came back to life in the vessel of a robot named the Marionette, who had the ability to give gifts and give life, allowing the murdered children to live on by letting their souls inhabit the animatronic characters they were so fond of. Despite the best and lackadaisical efforts of Fazbear Entertainment, the bad press of the missing children and the reputation of the unsanitary state the restaurant is kept in has forced Fazbear Entertainment to shut its doors by the end of the year 1993. The brand and its bad memories, hopefully, were now allowed to finally fade away. With the restaurant's closure, one might begin to ponder what will happen to the animatronic characters, as the souls of the dead children of the Missing Children Incident, or MCI for short, still reside in their mechanical bodies. And what of their killer? Whatever did happen to the man behind the slaughter? Will he come back like he always does to cause more misery? Let's finish up our first arc in the series by wrapping up the original trilogy of Five Nights at Freddy's games, where the Fazbear name is no more than an urban myth. And all that's left is opportunity for those with greed in their eyes, and giving a place for the bad memories to reemerge. This is Episode 3, The Missing Children Incident, Part 2.
Good job, everybody. Good job. Thanks, y'all.
After the closure of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the presumed bankruptcy of the entire Fazbear Entertainment brand, the restaurant has been left to rot for years, if not decades. Now, 30 years after they closed their doors, the tragedies that took place there have become nothing more than a rumor in childhood memories, an urban legend whose history is shared and debated, but has more or less become obscured through the degradation of time. And just like any urban legend or tragedy, there exist those who are willing to shed their morals, if they had any, in pursuit of a quick profit. The owners of a local amusement park have plans to capitalize on the mystique and intrigue of the restaurant by opening up their own mystery shack. With no corporation or copyright holders to stop them, they plan to introduce Fazbear Fright, the horror attraction, to the masses. And they are determined to revive the legend and to make the experience as authentic as possible for patrons, going to even great lengths to find anything that might have survived decades of neglect and ruin. Whether or not those methods of attaining past relics are legal isn't something that's disclosed. But if nobody owns the property, is it really stealing? This relic hunt, while it bears fruit at the beginning, unfortunately begins to mount pressure on the staff as they continue to search for some form of main attraction for their haunted house. Until that discovery is made, the amusement park begins construction of the new attraction with what they found. even implementing the older 80s and 90s technology into their framework. This includes their security software, in which, in order to truly sell the experience of the horror attraction, they even hire someone to play the role, as it were. By week's end, the attraction is starting to take its final form, and as the night guard settles down for his late-night shift, a leader on the relic expedition and project construction calls him to let him know how the building process is going. Now, like our previous man on the phone, we are never given a name for this gentleman, but he has been given a name by the fan base, that being Phone Dude. And why was he given this nickname? Well...
Hey, glad you came back for another night. I promise it'll be a lot more interesting this time. We found some great new relics over the weekend, and we're out tracking down a new lead right now. So, let me just update you real quick, then you can get to work. Like, the attraction opens in like a week, so we have to make sure everything works and nothing catches on fire. Now let me tell you about what's new. We found another set of drawings, always nice, and a foxy head, which we think could be authentic. Then again, it might just be another crappy cosplay. And we found a desk fan, very old school, metal though, so watch the fingers. Right now the place is basically just, flashing lights and spooky props. I honestly thought we'd have more by now. If we don't have something really cool by next week, then we may have to suit you up in a furry suit and make you walk around saying, boo. But like I said, we're trying to track down a good lead right now. Some guy who helped design one of the buildings says it was like an extra room that got boarded up, or something like that. So we're gonna take a peek and see what we can find. For now, just get comfortable with the new setup. You can check the security cameras over to your right with the click of that blue button. You can toggle between the hall cams and the vent cams. Then over to your far left, you can flip up your maintenance panel. Use this to reboot any systems that may go offline. In trying to make the place feel vintage, we may have overdone it a bit. Some of this equipment is barely functional. Yeah, I wasn't joking about the fire. That's a real risk. The most important thing you want to watch for is the ventilation. Look, this place will give you the spooks, man, and if you let that ventilation go offline, then you'll start seeing some crazy stuff, man. Keep that air flowing. Okay, keep an eye on things, and we'll try to have something new for you tomorrow night.
Suffice to say, he is a fan favorite. Now, despite his concerns of what they have found, the construction of the Fazbear Fright project has been going well so far. Sickly green lights decorate the hallways of broken arcade machines and stained brick walls. The original animatronic band has had their heads and torsos hung up on walls or stands like props, and the decommissioned toy animatronics of the late 80s are stored away for future use in a cardboard box in the office. The same office has also been expertly constructed to create a perfect facsimile of a rundown Freddy Fazbear security office. With the security camera and maintenance panels available at the touch of a fingertip, the fake night guard can even play audio tracks with the speakers, most notably the old audio tracks of our favorite Balloon Boy's laugh.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
But other than the boredom of watching over an empty haunted house, not much happens on the night's watch. After 6 a.m. rolls around, the night guard simply closes up shop and heads home. The next night, he returns to position with a new call from Phone Dude.
Hey man, okay, I have some awesome news for you. First of all, we found some vintage audio training cassettes. Dude, these are like prehistoric. I think they were like training tapes for like other employees or something like that. So I thought we could like have them playing like over the speakers as people walk through the attraction. Dude, that makes us feel legit, man. But I have an even better surprise for you. You're not gonna believe this. We found one. A real one. Gotta go, man. Well look, it's in there somewhere. I'm sure you'll see it. Okay, I'll leave you with some of this great audio that I found. Talk to you later, man.
As the night guard gets situated, he starts to notice that the real one they brought over is some form of decaying rabbit animatronic. A decaying animatronic suit that is still active. As it starts to shamble around, the night guard can spot the tells of age and lack of maintenance. Its outer shell is worn and tattered, wires and endoskeleton parts are easily exposed. The color of the suit has been washed, turned into drab, dark green and yellows, and one of its bunny ears have been half torn. The decay has also left the head in a state that's worse for wear, creating an uncanny, permanent grin on the robot's face. Well, robot may not be the correct term. As the night guard begins to watch the rabbit move around the attraction, Phone Dude has set up audio from the training tapes they found to automatically play over the phone while you work. The audio being training tapes for workers who walk around in mascot costumes. You know, like the characters who walk around in Disney World. And the man who teaches this lesson, he may sound a bit familiar.
Hello? Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These tapes will provide you with much-needed information on how to handle/climb into/climb out of mascot costumes. Right now, we have two specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. So please pay close attention while learning how to operate these suits, as accidents/injuries/death/irreparable and grotesque maiming can occur. First, we will discuss how to operate the mascots when they are in animatronic form. For ease of operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound cues. This is an easy and hands-free approach to making sure the animatronics stay where the children are for maximum entertainment/crowd-pleasing value. To change the animatronics to suit mode, insert and turn firmly the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the suit, providing room to climb inside. Please make sure that spring locks are fastened tight to ensure the animatronic devices remain fixed. We will cover this in more detail in tomorrow's session. Remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
This is an introduction into more of Fazbear Entertainment's past. That being a form of hybrid animatronic that was created early on in Freddy's history. An animatronic you can wear. These were called Springlock suits, or Springlock animatronics. These animatronics look similar to their fully robotic counterparts, but were yellow in color. And had a much more simplistic computer system in place than even the original Fazbear game. That said, like most products made by Fazbear Entertainment, the Springlock suits were poorly designed and optimized for use. There was an inherent danger with the suits from the use of their springs. Phone Guy even warns in various tapes that the moisture of one's breath could be even enough to make the Springlock snap back into place, impaling the animatronic endoskeleton into the user's body at multiple points. Now, Fazbear Entertainment did have plans in place in case of an emergency scenario like that were ever to occur. They would just have the employee who wore the suit move into a backroom location to bleed out, as to not ruin the customer experience. At least that's the reasoning according to Phone Guy. I'm sure if that absolutely unlikely incident were to ever have the faintest chance to occur, that the Fazbear Entertainment's plans would definitely go over well, with absolutely no repercussions whatsoever. Look, this is Fazbear Entertainment. You know worst case scenario is most likely this scenario by now. Just roll the phone call.
Hello. There's been a slight change of company policy concerning use of the suit. Don't. After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our technicians.
The locations these suits were moved to was that boarded up room that was mentioned by Phone Dude earlier. Through more of Phone Guy's training tapes, we can understand that this room was more than just simple storage rooms. Locked up after the building that had been closed down, this room was in fact an employee's safe room. It was for emergencies, for employees to put on their spring lock suits, and for slight storage needs. Most critically, however, this room was unmonitored, invisible to the cameras, and wasn't on the animatronics' computers, so they couldn't enter into these rooms. During some unknown period of time, Fazbear Entertainment had these rooms boarded up with a false wall, leaving any material stored in there behind it. Their reasons for this was pretty vague. Phone Guy hints at it being for insurance reasons or what have you, or employees using it as a break room, inviting customers inside the safe room, and company property that had gone missing that was inside. In particular, that spring bodysuit was noticed moving from its current location inside. That same suit that was roaming the halls of Fazbear's Fright right now. However, that may not be the only unnatural thing in this haunted house attraction. While the night guard is luring the spring body animatronic around the location with the Balloon Boy audio, utilizing what he learned from Phone Guy that loud audio can lure the animatronic to specific locations, our fake night guard's perception of reality may have also slowly begun to waver, as he begins to see various hallucinations of both the original Fazbear game and toy animatronics walking around and stalking him, despite the fact that they are all broken and decommissioned. It's not made clear if this is due to the ventilation system that Phone Dude mentioned, which does break down multiple times throughout the week, causing the night guard to hallucinate dangers where there are none, or, like in the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 location, these supernatural elements of the spirits of children have rubbed off in the location, causing the environment to fluctuate. Or perhaps it's all in the mind of the night guard, and he is suffering from his own mental trauma, dealing with the threat of death and the broken down maintenance utilities causing him to hallucinate in a state of panic. I mean, whoever this night guard is, he is seeing remnants of the past in the form of the Fazbear Bane in the 90s and the toy animatronics. So perhaps this fake night guard has a closer relationship with the Fazbear brand than meets the eye. Whatever the case, his hallucinatory visions of the animatronics are vivid and decrepit, to say the least. Each one of the animatronics, like the spring body suits shambling down the halls, has been sapped of all color, instead mimicking the sickly green and yellows of the restaurant, with pale white glowing irises. Their bodies, withered down and broken, look charred, as if they were set on fire. And like any mental image that your mind perceives as real, they do not conform to the rules of reality. Balloon Boy's face could be placed in front of a camera screen, but the moment the panel's put away, he'd be right in front of the night guard to jump scare him. Freddy could be limping in the hallway in front of the glass window in his office, only to duck down and immediately lunge at the night guard. It was all surreal and unnatural, and the longer the night guard stayed at the horror attraction, the more aggressive these ghosts of the past haunted him. These vivid hallucinations have even been given a canonical name. They are labeled the Phantom animatronics. But the identity of the night guard and the reasoning behind the Phantom animatronics are both topics worth an episode in themselves. Instead, let's refocus on the identity of our spring body friend by returning to the classic storytelling device of Five Nights at Freddy's 8-bit Death Minigames. Unlike Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the Death Minigames present in the third installment are separated into two distinct categories based on how you access these meta minigames. The first are minigames that are activated at the end of every night and help tell the story of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. At the end of a night shift, you'll be given control of a different member of the Fazbear band. Starting with Freddy, then Bonnie, then Chica, and Foxy, you will be free to explore a decaying low-resolution version of the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, present in the first Five Nights at Freddy's. In a state worse for wear, with water leaking from the ceilings from the pounding rainstorm surging outside and rats scurrying around the corners of the building. Some rooms have been boarded up, others, like the employees-only rooms, have all their equipment left to rot. While exploring, eventually each animatronic will encounter a purple, shadowy version of Freddy. A minor character present in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that I didn't mention, as the rarity and spontaneity of him appearing is quite a disconnect from the story of the game. Here he takes a more prominent role of leading each animatronic around the now defunct pizzeria, eventually leading each animatronic to just outside the restroom hallway. In the original game, it was interpreted that that was all that there was, but Shadow Freddy moves forward into a room that wasn't present in the first game. Once he walks in, if any of the animatronics attempt to follow, they will be unable to, instead bumping into an invisible barrier with a large red error message appearing in the corner. But the moment the animatronics try to leave, a loud static screech will emit, and the purple guy will rush down from the room, tearing apart whatever animatronic were trying to enter. After 5 nights, Purple Guy has torn apart Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy into multiple pieces. After the end of the 5th night, the Death Minigame will have you take control of a missing children incident spirit. Gray and ghostly, with spectral tears still stained on their face. Roaming to the back room, the spirit is no longer affected by that barrier and is finally able to get inside. To spot Purple Guy surrounded by the spirits of his victims blocking his exit. In a state of panic as one spirit attempts to engage him, Purple Guy begins to keep retreating and backing away from his victims. But suddenly, he gets an idea. Beside the busted-down arcade machines in storage, a yellow rabbit spring bodysuit leans up against the eastern wall. Purple Guy, with a wicked, confident smile on his face, rushes toward the suit and dons it. The spirits, for some reason or another, no longer engage him. Purple Guy's trick seems to have worked, as he begins to laugh mockingly at his victims for once again being able to fool him. Until... The spring locks in his suits, in combination of the rainwater leaking from the ceiling and the moisture of his maniacal laugh, has loosened the springs, causing the robotic parts to snap into place, impaling his body at multiple points, forcing him to slowly bend down, unable to even support himself, as he goes down, shaking in pain in a pool of his own blood. The spirits of the children start to dissipate, seemingly satisfied that their deaths were avenged.
Hello. This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one. Work crews will be here most of the day today, constructing a false wall over the old door face. Nothing is being taken out beforehand, so if you left anything inside, then it's your own fault. Management also requests that this room not be mentioned to family, friends, or insurance representatives. Thanks again, and remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
The implication of the minigames and the final trading tape from Phone Guy is that the Purple Guy was actually entrapped inside that suit. Unable to move, Fazbear Entertainment built a false wall over the safe room that Purple Guy was confined in, and was stuck in there in well-deserved agonizing misery for over 30 years. In a form of poetic justice, his soul possessed the suit in which his body resides in, experiencing the same infliction of agony his victims did. Fittingly, the form in which Purple Guy lives on is given a canonical name that I've yet to mention, as it is not revealed until you beat the game and see this cutscene. Purple Guy, in his current state, is called the Springtrap. Now, finishing the game as is will end with a still image of the original Fazbear Game's heads, all lit up with their eyes glowing. Sad, eerie music plays, and faint text in the background states that what has been achieved is a bad ending. Something isn't right if the implication is that the children still linger on even after their killer has been punished. What's going on? Well, as it turns out, there is another set of minigames that can be discovered if one explores the west hallway during the Death Minigames. Following the vague instructions and hints in the hallway can lead to a series of minigames during the actual main gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. If this sounds confusing, it's because it is. It's very clear that not one person was designed to accomplish this task. Scott was relying on his community that was formed around this to work and cooperate to figure out the puzzle that has been set upon them. I won't spend time on what exactly are the steps to accessing these minigames, as you can just watch a gameplay tutorial on YouTube for that, in which you have plenitude to choose from, mind you. Instead, I want to talk about the implication of what the minigames are presenting. Each minigame is essentially a series of events in which you ignore the game you are initially presented and discover glitches and bugs intentionally placed to discover secrets. Exploring these bugged out areas usually lead to some form of disturbing entities, such as a crying child surrounded by a shadowy tree, a silhouette of marionette crying, or woods of broken ominous purple. Neat. Eventually, if done correctly, you will be able to find one of the missing children's incident victims crying by themselves in a various void. Once you reach them, you can offer them a slice of cake, causing them, for a moment, to find some form of comfort. In a backwards way, you are watching the children slowly being free from their torment their killers placed them in, and beginning to move on. Only problem is, one is having difficulty. In the final minigame titled Happiest Day, you play as a child wearing the mask of the puppet. Passing by 7 children at a birthday party, each wearing a colorful mask, will lead you to a 5th and last missing children incident child. While you can access this event at any time, the ending can only be achieved once all other victims are appeased. As the other victims of the slaughter are also there to comfort him, if they have also found peace, and once he is presented with a slice of cake, he too can find a small glimmer of happiness. The children, each one wearing the mask of the vessel in which they possess, disappear. Their masks slowly fall to the ground, with exception to the marionettes, whose mask falls more gingerly and slowly compared to the others. The balloons above them rise as the spirits of the restless victims finally have found peace. The mascot costume heads no longer glowing with life. After the 6th night of the night guard's watch, he discovers a newspaper article detailing the apparent destruction of the Fazbear Fright attraction. Quote,
"It burns. Fazbear Fright burns to the ground. A new local attraction based on the ancient pizzeria chain burns down overnight. Authorities have not ruled out foul play, but at the moment, it seems to have been caused by faulty wiring. Very little was found at the scene. The few items that were salvaged will be sold at public auction."
End quote. Of course, that's just one way of looking at the apparent destruction of Fazbear's Fright. What am I talking about, you ask? Well, remember those phantom hallucinations that plagued the fake night guard? While the cause of their existence is unknown, the trigger for him to have these visions were usually through charred mirages, or just simply unexplainable at the moment scenarios. Like, for Phantom Chica, an arcade machine turns on and displays her face. Well, there also exists a phantom puppet, with the trigger for the hallucination being the marionette standing upright in one of the Fazbear Fright halls. Except, it's not a hallucination. The phantom puppet is, but the trigger is not. We can tell by the fact it not only casts a shadow, but its reflection can be seen in the puddle of water right beneath it. That's the marionette. The real marionette. Remember, in the Happiest Day minigame, all the children's masks fell, but the puppet stayed in the air for a little longer. The marionette was at peace, but still had unfinished business it needed to take care of. Springtrap. Now, am I saying the puppet burned down Fazbear Fright? It's possible. What we do know is if that was the puppet's goal, it failed. For in the background of the newspaper article, if one brightens the image, they can see the singed Springtrap, still active and alive. For no matter how many times he is burned, he always comes back. And that is the end of the original Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy of games. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to stay updated, please consider subscribing or sharing this podcast. It truly helps us broaden our reach, and consider following us on Twitter at Fazbear Podcast or using the link in the description. And if you enjoy this content, please let me know what you enjoyed or what would you like me to alter. This was the first run of episodes, and I would like to know what I need to improve to get you guys an even better product. I try not to stay active on social media because I value my life, but I will try to read the majority of comments on my Twitter and YouTube. Once again, I've been your host, Nick, and thank you again for listening. Good night.